Peace and power, family. This is your brother, Shakim, once again. Hey, man, it's been a lot of things going on in the news lately, but there's one thing, man, that's been talked about here recently in the last couple of days, even the last couple of weeks, I want to talk about. Now, Hillary Clinton has recently made some statements that would lead other people to believe that she's planning another run in 2020. I'm going to tell you like this, Hillary. We do not need you to run again. As you can see, a lot of people don't like you. A lot of people. And then a lot of people contribute the state that we're in right now with Donald Trump because Hillary Clinton's unlikability. Matter of fact, if you want to start talking about it, Mark Penn, he's a pollster and a senior advisor to Bill and Hillary Clinton. He was there from 1995 to 2008. He wrote in the Wall Street Journal recently that Hillary will run again. In fact, Penn even suggested that you won't see a 2.0 version, but you're going to see a refurbished 4.0 Hillary Clinton. Now, we got to laugh because we actually don't know what that means. We saw the 2.0 Hillary, and she was totally out of whack. So if we got to see a refurbished 4.0 version of Hillary Clinton, guess what? We don't need it. During the time Hillary Clinton was running for president, I did an interview with the Young Turks. And in that interview, I came out and made a controversial statement. I said that a black person voting for Hillary Clinton is just like a Jew that's voting for Adolf Hitler. Now, let me give you a little bit of insight on this clip. Hold on, I'm going to go ahead and play just a little bit for you to kind of see where I'm going at.
A black person voting for Hillary Clinton is like a Jew voting for Adolf Hitler. I'm going to tell you why. Now, we know that under the Clinton regime that he instituted the three strikes policy and actually increased the amount of black men in prison, black men and women in the prison system, where you have blacks getting caught with a gram of crack cocaine, getting a life sentence.
Do you think it's a little strong to compare her or Bill to Hitler? I mean, I'm a Jew, so rounding them up, sending them to gas chambers, I think is a little different than mass incarceration. I'm not condoning mass incarceration, especially for weed and crack cocaine. Bill Clinton didn't put him into gas chambers, so I don't think it's a fair comparison.
Now, in 2009, then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, she accepted Planned Parenthood's award named after its founder, Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger is a known racist and a known eugenicist. She actually started the American Birth Control League, and they later changed their name to Planned Parenthood in the 1940s. Now, in her remarks, Clinton signed so much praise for this lady. She said, "Now I have to tell you that it was a great privilege when I was told that I was going to receive this award. I admire Margaret Sanger enormously, her courage, her tenacity, her vision. And when I think about what she did all those years in Brooklyn, taking on the archetypes, taking on attitudes and accusations flowing from all directions, I am really in awe of her." Hillary, what type of accusations were flying around Margaret Sanger at that time? She was a racist. That was true. She was a eugenicist. That was true. She was in love with the KKK. The KKK admired her. That was true. So what type of adversity was she facing? This lady was saying that she wanted all undesirables exterminated, and her ideology about birth control wasn't about giving women options, but it was about halting the birth of people who she felt was going to cause society burdens and pains and a waste of money. So what are you talking about, Hillary, when you say that her tenacity and her vision? What about her vision? Her vision was one of racism. So let me let you hear what Hillary said in her own words. Let's play the clip.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to be back in Houston with so many friends and to have an opportunity to participate in the Planned Parenthood annual meeting. I have to tell you that it was a great privilege when I was told that I would receive this award. admire Margaret Sanger enormously. Her courage, her tenacity, her vision. Another of my great friends, Ellen Chesler, is here, who wrote a magnificent biography of Margaret Sanger called Woman of Valor. And when I think about what she did all those years ago in Brooklyn, taking on archetypes, taking on attitudes and accusations flowing from all directions, I am really in awe of her. And there are a lot of lessons that we can learn from her life and from the cause she launched and fought for and sacrificed so greatly.
Do you believe in sin? When I say believe, I don't mean believe in committing sin. Do you believe there is such a thing as sin?
Well, I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world that have disease from their parents, that have no chance in the world to be a human being, practically. Delinquents, prisoners, all sorts of things just marked when they're born. That, to me, is the greatest sin that people can commit.
Now, you see what I'm talking about? This is amazing. And that's why I said, black people, we have to be careful about the people who we stand behind, right? Because you can talk about Donald Trump all day, but when you talk about Hillary Clinton, she's actually backing known racists. They always say, well, Trump didn't denounce the KKK. Well, Hillary Clinton didn't denounce Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger is the KKK. But you see how the liberal media has brainwashed black people into holding the Republicans to a standard that they don't hold Democrats to. Now we're in this whitewash of society where we let Democrats off the hook and we hold Republicans accountable. Now, on a radio show, Margaret Sanger actually said these words, and I'm gonna read this quote. She said, "Morons, mental defectives, epileptics, illiterates, paupers, unemployables, criminals, prostitutes, and dope fiends ought to be surgically sterilized. If they wish, such people should also be able to choose a lifelong segregated existence in labor camps." Yes, that is the same ideology of Adolf Hitler. Labor camps. She wanted to put them in labor camps. Now, in 1939, guess what Sanger did? Through the Birth Control Freedom of America Act, not an act, but the Birth Control Freedom of America, she helped to initiate the Negro Project. Now, the Negro Project was designed just for black people, right? She wanted to put together a plan that was going to exterminate black people. But guess who she was going to use? Black people themselves. Yes, the same thing that Hillary Clinton does. She wanted to use black people. She uses ministers. She uses black politicians. She uses them to pass an agenda like mass incarceration. Now, remember, this is her idol. So now, this is what Margaret Sanger actually said about the Negro Project. Now, she wanted to use black doctors to be involved in the project because she wanted to gain the trust of the African American. Right? So this is a quote from Sanger. She said, "The minister's work is also important and he should be trained, perhaps by the Federation, as to our ideals and the goals that we hope to reach." What goals does she want to reach? Keep quote. "We do not want the word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population, and the minister is the man who can straighten out that idea if it ever occurs to any one of their more rebellious members." Right? She wanted to utilize the Negro minister or the Negro preacher to push an agenda to exterminate his own people. This is Planned Parenthood. This is who backed them. This is their ideology. This is who Hillary Clinton said she loved her vision. She loved her ideals. Come on. And we want this, and black people are advocating this lady to be president? Listen, then another thing that she talked about was super predators. Now, if you hear what she's talking about when she talks about super predators, remember she said in 1996 that gangs were no longer a gang of kids, but often these kinds that were also referred to as super predators. No conscience, no empathy. She said we could talk about why they ended up that way, but first, we got to bring them to a heel. Now, listen. What she is saying, essentially, is that we don't really need to understand why they got this way. We just want to incarcerate them first, and once we gather them up, load them in cages, then we can start having a discussion about how we got to that point. That is very backwards. Anybody who's an adept problem solver knows that you don't solve problems working backwards. You don't. We need to find out why these children are getting that way. We need to find out society and how the culture of death and destruction works, and how did we get there. Then we start correcting the problem. Now, there was something interesting that happened on CNN during one of the presidential primary debates. Let me let you listen to this clip really quick.
Now, earlier this year, a South Carolina voter told your daughter, Chelsea, quote, "I think a lot of African Americans want to hear, you know what, we made a mistake." Chelsea said she's heard you apologize, but went on to say that if the voter hadn't heard it, then, quote, it's clearly insufficient. Do you regret your advocacy for the crime bill?
Well, look, I supported the crime bill. My husband has apologized. He was the president who actually signed it. Senator Sanders voted for it. I'm sorry for the consequences that were unintended and that have had a very unfortunate impact on people's lives. I've seen the results of what has happened in families and in communities. That's why I chose to make my very first speech a year ago on this issue, Errol, because I want to focus the attention of our country and to make the changes we need to make. And I also want people, especially I want white people to recognize that there is systemic racism. It's also in employment, it's in housing, but it is in the criminal justice system as well.
Now, if you notice, she spent most of her time trying to rationalize, and they spent most of the time apologizing for the 3 Strikes Law or the Truth in Sentencing Act. They knew what they were doing. They were mad that they got discovered. They got mad that people found out what was going on. They didn't apologize because they were really sorry. They were apologizing because they knew the world finally caught on to what they were doing. And now since we finally caught on, the only thing that they can do is say, hey, you know what? We apologize. This is what they do, the political pandering. Speaking about pandering, let's go to a clip at the Breakfast Club interview that she did when she was also, once again, pandering to a black audience. Check this out.
No more questions? They said no, she has to go.
What's something that you always carry with you?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you getting information right now?
Hot sauce.
Hot sauce in my bag, swag?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yes.
Now listen,
yes.
I just want you to know, people are going to see this and say, okay, she's pandering to black people again.
Okay. Is it working?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Crooked Hillary. Listen, Democrats, let me tell y'all something. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I consider myself an independent. But let me tell y'all like this. If you want any chance of winning in 2020, you can't run Hillary. There's too many fresh minds out here and fresh ideas and young people who can make your party look better. Now, I'm not a party man. I'm an agenda man. We have to have an agenda. Our people need an agenda. Our community needs an agenda. So whether you're Democrat, Republican, Independent, no matter what, if there's an agenda that we are pushing and you want to help, you can get on board. But guess what? No elite, no alliance is long term. Everything is built on community. Listen, we do not need crooked Hillary anywhere. And listen, any black person that pushes crooked Hillary, you are an enemy to the black community. With all of the things that we know that she does, any black person after being educated about what she's doing, you are an enemy to the people. There are too many young, upcoming, bright minds in our political spectrum that we should continue to rely on the ideals of known hidden racists with a known hidden agenda who back racists who wanted to see the extermination of the black race. Peace and love, family. This is your brother Shakim. I'm in Hotep Arquette. Peace and love, family.